Tensions between the illicit 8 gang and the Integrity Commission increases immensely.
The Prime Minister was being cited for possible corruption charges. 24 hours later, another report exonerating him.
The complainant was shot. At about 10:43 a.m., at least 2 men who rode up on a motorcycle. The pillion proceeded to come off the motorcycle and attacked him. He pulled a firearm and a struggle took place between the complainant and the pillion. During the struggle, a black briefcase seemed to have been the subject of his curiosity. A struggle developed between himself and the complainant for that briefcase, and during the struggle, the complainant was shot.
But why is all of this happening? Well, the Integrity Commission, which is an anti-corruption body, has gotten their hands on some documents that exposes a long list of organized crime done by the illicit 8 members who are also parliamentarians. And as you guess, these illicit 8 members don't want these documents to ever see the light of day, and they are willing to do whatever it takes.
Who is Robert Garvin?
Garvin?
Robert Garvin.
Never met the name, never heard the name.
What about the fact that Garvin used this address, 28 Herb McKinley?
Because this is my address, it's precisely what I'm saying. This is my address, it's precisely what I'm saying. You're at 28 Herb McKinley, no?
I know, so
Yeah.
why Robert Garvin used it and you...
Because we set up the company here.
Who is Robert Garvin?
Garvin? Never met the name, never heard the name.
Now, what could have possibly triggered the illicit 8 gang for them to carry out consistent attacks on the Integrity Commission? Well, let's see.
Executive Director of the Integrity Commission, Greg Christie, was facing the Parliamentary Committee for the first time since the controversial report. The Prime Minister was being cited for possible corruption charges. 24 hours later, another report exonerating him. When pressed, Mr. Christie rejected claims that the Commission embarrassed the Prime Minister. He was also taken to task about taking to Twitter. But Mr. Christie insists there was no effort to create mischief, arguing the Integrity Commission has historically retweeted stories on all its investigations.
The Commission retweeted the Gleaner story on the 15th, the Jamaica Observer story, and on the same date it retweeted the PM's rejection of the report.
According to Mr. Warmington, the Director of Corruption Prevention had previously worked for former PNP President Dr. Peter Phillips, but Mr. Christie refused to have that discussion.
The issue is, Mr. Chairman, is that
he's asking about the political persuasion of a particular person, and that's not my business.
But then why employ him if he's involved politically? That's what I'm asking you. You say there's no political bias there. He was employed to Dr. Peter Phillips in a political capacity as an advisor, and it's right in front of me.
Chairman,
it's in front of me.
Chairman, respectfully, he has asked a question about an individual who, from his job description, right, has nothing to do with any of the reports that have been tabled, brought, etc.
The Commission retweeted the Gleaner story on the 15th, the Jamaica Observer story, and on the same date it retweeted the PM's rejection of the report.
At about 10:43 a.m., Ryan Evans, the Director of Corruption Prevention at the Integrity Commission, he was pounced upon by at least 2 men who rode up on a motorcycle. The pillion proceeded to come off the motorcycle and attacked him. He pulled a firearm and a struggle took place between the complainant and the pillion. During the struggle, a black briefcase seemed to have been the subject of his curiosity. A struggle developed between himself and the complainant for that briefcase, and during the struggle, the complainant was shot. The pillion seemed to have left with the briefcase. The complainant himself was he drove himself to the hospital where he's currently being treated. But the complainant is stable at this time.
Any ideas to what is in the briefcase?
We can't say at this time.
So I am pretty sure the director of the Integrity Commission isn't driving around with a suitcase full of junk, and if a money did in there, would have heard about it already. So I think it's safe to say that those 2 pillion guys who ride up and bite back and thief the man's suitcase were paid contractors trying to keep these documents from seeing the light of day. Another long list of organized crime. Sounds about right to me. I could be wrong, but let's see.
Yeah. At a time when we know the work of the Integrity Commission, we know what they do. Is there any motive?
I can appreciate where your mind is going, but at this stage, we have no information that will connect both instances at this time. It is a consideration, but as it is right now, not as yet. But we are assisting the staff and we are assisting the complainant as it relates to this.
The Integrity Commission said this is in relation to allegations that contracts were awarded to an entity called Western Construction and that there is a connection or relationship between the owners of that company and Prime Minister Andrew Holness, who was at the time of the circumstances outlined in this report, the Minister of Education, Youth and Information.
And the extent of the relationship between Andrew Holness and the directors of Western Construction Limited, the extent of the involvement of Andrew Holness in the award of Government of Jamaica contracts to Western Construction Limited.
In all, 10 contracts were awarded to Western Construction during the relevant period.
Now, of the 10 contracts, only 5 were reported to the Office of the Contractor General and were between the contract values of $1.4 million and $3.36 million and had a cumulative value of $21.8 million.
Now, the report also gives some particulars in terms of the company itself, Western Construction, that it was registered by the Company's Office of Jamaica. A director shareholder was Robert Garvin. Donovan Simpson was a director shareholder. Jerome Green was the secretary of the company. And then they went into some detail in terms of the nature of the relationship between Mr. Holness as well as the directors and the principals of Western Construction. And they point out that Mr. Garvin and Mr. Simpson, both directors and shareholders, have been known to Mr. Holness for over 20 years.
It was also disclosed by the Prime Minister that Mr. Donovan Simpson is known to him casually and was introduced to him by Mr. Garvin, and that Mr. Simpson was engaged by him privately to undertake land surveying work.
All right, now then the report goes into a series of facts in relation to information gleaned from the Company's Office of Jamaica. We're not going to go into all of that, but suffice it to say it includes statements that, for instance, Mr. Holness is a director of the company called Positive Jamaica Foundation. Other directors were included Robert Garvin, Mark Azan, Kadisha Campbell, Kent Gammon, Warren Vernon, and Robert Garvin, I beg your pardon, noted as a ceased director. And the report goes through that kind of information for a number of companies to illustrate the kind of connectedness between the shareholders of Western as well as Mr. Holness. So the extent of Mr. Holness's involvement in the award of government contracts to Western. They said Western was recommended by way of a letter dated December 20, 2007, written by Mr. Holness for the award of a contract in the amount of $1.4 million for works in the West Central St. Andrew constituency related to the 2007 Christmas work program.
Now, in relation to the contract which was awarded by the SDC to Western Construction Limited in the amount of $375,000, Mr. Holness wrote to the SDC by way of letter dated September 23, 2009 and advised that Mr. Robert Garvin was employed as the project manager under the Constituency Development Fund in West Central St. Andrew. Subsequent invoices were provided to the SDC requiring that payment be made to Mr. Garvin, care of Westcon Construction Limited.
Who is Robert Garvin?
Garvin?
Robert Garvin.
Never met the name, never heard the name.
Remember to like and subscribe because this is about to get a bit crazy.
But I do remember Positive. But I did set up Positive Jamaica, I remember that.
Right, but he's one. Yeah. Positive Jamaica is in part a director by Garvin.
I know he was a director of
and by the way, one more thing. What about the fact that Garvin used this address, 28 Herb McKinley?
Because this is my address. It's precisely what I'm saying.
Who is Robert Garvin?
Garvin?
Robert Garvin.
Never met the name, never heard the name. You're a 28 McKinley, you know?
I know, so
Yeah.
why Robert Garvin used it and you...
Because we set up the company here. Garvin, I'm not saying that. I don't remember the name.
What about the fact that Garvin used this address, 28 Herb McKinley?
Because this is my address. It's precisely what I'm saying.
Robert Garvin is not a director in any way, shape, or form of ADMAT.
No, man, he's not.
But why would Robert Garvin's name then appear on an application to the land development?
Because he's acting as agent, he's doing the process.
Okay.
Yeah. That's not unusual.
Robert Garvin is not a director in any way, shape, or form of ADMAT.
No, man, he's not.
According to Company's Office records, Robert Garvin is or was a director of other entities affiliated with Andrew or Juliet Holness: Positive Jamaica Foundation Limited, Sunshine Mobile, West Central St. Andrew Trust Limited, Omega Bridge Finance, and the now removed Delito Taxi Service.
Positive Jamaica is in part a director by Garvin.
I know he was a director of
and by the way, one more thing.
Separately, Robert Garvin is also listed as the director of Westkin Construction, along with one Donovan Simpson.
The head of government of Jamaica, Prime Minister Andrew Holness, has been referred to the Director of Corruption Prosecutions for possible charges after a multi-million-dollar corruption investigation. This referral by the Integrity Commission is based on their investigation and report to Parliament implicating Prime Minister Holness in allegations of conflicts of interest regarding tens of millions of dollars of contracts awarded to close associates of his from as far back as 2009 when he was Minister of Education. This revelation exposes our country to international embarrassment. A head of government should be beyond reproach, and it is unacceptable that he has been besmirched by accusations of this kind of impropriety.
Now, he also spoke to me earlier this evening on Radio Jamaica's Beyond the Headlines, where he went a little bit further in his comment.
This is a very serious matter for Jamaica and as a country that, in the international community, for our Prime Minister to have this kind of cloud now hanging over him is unprecedented and we believe untenable.
When you say untenable, what does that mean?
Well, I think the Prime Minister needs to consider very carefully his position, and I will speak more to this tomorrow.
That is it, guys. And I just want to say a huge thanks to everyone who made it to the end of this video, who stick through the entire video with me. I just want to say a huge thanks to you guys, because these videos take quite a bit of work to complete the entire process. So if you guys want to help the growth and consistency of this channel, then feel free to donate to my PayPal link in my YouTube profile bio. Yes, this will help me to get more equipment, and hopefully even get an editor, and this will allow me to post more high quality content for you. Thanks again for making it to the end of this video. Blessings. Shit.